to class 2, Cooking with Heart. So designing a health-centric kitchen. So this is one of my favorite topics because I really think it can make the biggest difference when you get it. So I'm going to try and help you to really just change your mindset about this. So, okay. So it's such a powerful thing, and it's overlooked in so many instances when we talk about behavior change. And you'll see in a moment, it's like, what? We can't leave it out. So, okay, next week we're going to go into transitioning to plant-focused, and we are going to explore wraps in a whole new way. Okay, we're going to do Collier wraps. So I'm going to teach you how to do that and some others. And we're going to have a hoisin-like sauce. Now, I've taken out hoisin. I used to have hoisin, but hoisin's like super high in salt, super high. And it's, for many people, this is the only thing they need it for. So I came up with, it tastes nearly the same.
Has soy in it also?
I don't know all the things. It's got a unique flavor. So I worked on it so that we could use regular ingredients in the kitchen. But so it's a hoisin-like peanut sauce. So, and we're going to make that. And then we're going to also explore tofu. So, and just, hold on to your seats. Okay. So, because I know a lot of people are like, you're not going to get me to eat that. And that's okay. But I just ask you to keep an open mind. So you just never know. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So let's see. Today we are doing a quinoa berry salad. So quinoa, we're going to learn about that. We're going to do roasting, which I love and is fantastic. We're going to learn how to make a secret sauce that chefs know how to make. It's actually a reduced balsamic, and I'm going to teach you how to make it without burning it, okay, because that's a trick. We're going to do spiralized zoodles. They're a really simple, elegant kind of way to use a vegetable instead of pasta, carb kind of, and then a nearly instant crunchy peanut bowl. Okay. So let's review. I want to review a little bit before we jump into our topic today. So name 5 things on the label, because I know you were practicing your label skills. I heard some of you talking about that, but what are the 5 things? Give me one. What's one of the 5 things? You guys can send me in the chat. I'll watch for you. Sugar. Okay. Sugar. Sodium. Okay.
I don't know if you.
Well, the serving size. Okay. I'm not so concerned about the calories because the calories kind of take care of themselves. And we have this funky obsession with that number. So, so yes, so we've got, I think we hit 3. We've got
Saturated fat,
biggie there, guys, biggie one.
fiber.
And then fiber. Thank you, Molly. So yes, so those are 5 things. If you don't feel comfortable looking for those 5 things and assessing a product, see me. We will do an individual lesson. Okay. It's really important that you know that skill. Okay. What in your diet that you eat can raise your LDL?
Trans?
Well, trans, we didn't really talk about that because they're supposed to be gone. They aren't quite, but I don't want to get into that, but yes. So, but there's something really tied to that. Yeah, I know. I've got a dietitian in the room that's holding back. So she could say these in her sleep. So saturated fat. So saturated fat is going to raise your LDL, guys. So that's why we watch it. It doesn't mean no, your body is fine with processing and, dealing with a little bit. Okay, so, and we want our LDL ideally less than 100, okay? What in the diet increases your triglycerides? Sugar. And that people just don't get that connection. It's sugar, a bolus feeding of sugar, an injection of sugar. So also excess calories, because your body doesn't need much to go, I'm packing on the fat for that famine. So let's see, what food that we prepared last week really can help lower your triglyceride? The salmon, the fish. And I kind of said that more at the end. So if you listen to the video, I kind of, I get going and so fish. Fish actually slows your release of triglyceride in your bloodstream, which means it's not as high. It also kind of like moisturizes your arteries. It smooths over some of those nicks if they happen to get there. It doesn't mean all of them disappear, but it really helps with the flexibility, the platelet, and the clotting of your arteries. And arteries, that's so important. Okay, what in your diet decreases your HDL, which we don't want to do? That's the good cholesterol that we want high. We've already said some of these, so I just want you to kind of review. So
Fiber?
well, fiber is really good. We haven't really pushed on that, but fiber is really good. Saturated fat and excess calories. Okay. So we want that 160 or higher. The numbers usually go like 40 for men, 50 for women, but I really want it 60 or higher. Okay. So those are the biggies. So now plants. In what ways can plants help your heart health? We didn't go into super depth, but I would really, there's just so much polyphenols in them. That's a plant compound. It's a class of a plant compound. Polyphenols, they really help with your oxidative stress, and they help with inflammation. So that's going to help with the heart plaque buildup. Antioxidants repair damage. So plants have a lot of antioxidants, especially with the bright colors. So you always have damage going on. I know it's a weird thing we don't really talk a lot about, but we always do. Just being awake, you create damage and you create trash. So we've got to make sure we take care of this. Some other things, nitrites in them, they're naturally going to help make your arteries more flexible in the inner lining. There's like a vasodilation that happens. That's really cool. Potassium, we know, is really good in balance with the blood pressure. And then, of course, low sodium. So we find that it's not just lowering the sodium, but it's getting that potassium in there, especially from fruits and vegetables. And then fiber. Fiber fills you up, so you are less likely to overeat. And it also helps a couple different ways, the LDL. It grabs onto the LDL. That oatmeal is great for that. And also it has a balance with the liver, so that the liver isn't quite making as much LDL when you have a high fiber diet, we find. Okay, so lots. I know it's lots, but I want you to understand the food that we recommend is not, it came from somewhere. It has really good research to back it up. Okay, so we had a lot of questions. I noticed some in the chat last time that I missed, and I'm really sorry about that. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to see if you got a message. Nope, doesn't look like we got a message. Sorry. Fat. Terry said fat. Thank you. So, okay. Bernice could make it. She is going to be here next week, so she will report to us. I kind of arm twisted her into making the kale salad with the unfiltered Bragg's. Okay, and we can talk more about that. The question was posed last week. I kind of answered it. Do I eat like I teach? And the answer is yes, but it's progress, not perfection. I'm always getting better and better. Just to give you an example, in the last couple of weeks, I have eaten the salmon stir fry that we do in the cancer class. Last night, my daughter, she roasted broccoli and put tofu with it in a bowl, and it was delicious. She kind of made a teriyaki sauce for the tofu, and it was delicious. So the roasted salmon tonight, you can do that. I mean, broccoli, we can do that with. Let's see, what else have I done? I've done pesto. You have pesto in your bonus recipes. I love that. Kale salad, I've done that. I roast veggies all the time. Hummus, I have all the time. So those are just some things that I do. Most of the recipes I do eat, some more frequently than others, but I try to best I can to follow. But you don't need to do what I do. You need to do what works for you. And so I do throw a lot of things out there, and things will change in your life. So what works at different transitions. So Elaine, she asked about the beans. So I researched that there's actually studies that they've done, and the best, they can reduce by 41% the sodium in your canned beans. So it comes about 210. When you drain it for 2 minutes, you need to just let it drain in the Sev for 2 minutes, and then rinse it under cold water for 10 seconds. Okay, that's what the studies have found the best for. Fish was asked about the temperature. It's 145. Really important to get that 145 degrees. Yes, I do use a thermometer at home because I'm very nervous about making sure we get it to temperature. So chicken 165. Tonight I made some chicken for us to add with the peanut crunchy bowl. So I made sure I took several temperatures. So I do have an instant read thermometer. That means it takes about 2 to 3 seconds and it gives its reading. Most your traditional thermometers actually take about 15 to 20 seconds to get their reading. So just so you know, it's a little pricier to get the instant read, but those are nice to have. Just be careful that some of the instant reads can't go into the oven at like 400 degrees, I found out, okay? So those are called meat thermometers, so, okay? So I've had to replace one recently. Let's see, and the question was with the sugar. So sugar is at 10 grams. I said 10 grams when you're reading the label for added sugar is kind of the cutoff, and that is per product. But here, don't get carried away because that's just where I want you to go, whoa, do I really want to take this product in? Do I think it's tasting sweet? Do I know it's got that much, 2.5 teaspoons? Because here's the thing, the recommendation for a full day for a female is no more than 6 teaspoons of added sugar, and that's 24 grams total, drinks and food. Now, most of us are going way beyond that. And for men, it's 36 grams or 9 teaspoons. So if you want to use that number instead as your total added, 24. So 6 teaspoons, just 6 teaspoons. No, I know that it's not that much. So, okay, and the last question, really good one, monk fruit sweetener. Is that the way to go? Okay. Now, here's the thing about artificial sweeteners, period. They're all different. They all do different things in your body. So we can't say artificial sweeteners bad, this good, and we don't do bad, good kind of thing. But as far, and the other thing with sugar substitute, you have to ask yourself, am I overpowering the food with the sweetness flavor? Is that what I'm doing with this artificial sweetener? Or am I allowing just a little bit of sweet there and then bringing out flavors? Maybe I need to add some more, okay? So I just want to lay the groundwork there. Now, as far as sweeteners go, I don't use them too often except for occasionally. And the one I would use is monk fruit. It's the most expensive. Why? Okay, well, and it's not, and how often I use it, it's really not going to matter which one I choose, honestly. There's a difference in stevia and sucralose as to whether you can bake with it or not, and I'm not going to go into that because I really just want you to really cut back. But monk fruit is 100 to 250 times sweeter than sugar. It doesn't have any fructose or glucose, so it doesn't raise your blood sugar. And the problem is it's so sweet that you can't just put it in a package and sell it because people would go gang. I mean, it would just like freak your brain out with sweetness. So they have to add like a filler in a way. And the filler that they add usually is, I can't say this, erythritol. Oh, it has an OL on the end. It begins with an E. And that is a sugar alcohol. And sugar alcohols in general as a group, xylitol we've had for a long time, sorbitol in the diabetic candies. Okay, this is kind of the best of the sugar alcohols because what happens with sugar alcohols is they go through your body, like through. And then when they hit the colon, they can create gas and constipation and running to the bathroom. And if you overeat it, this is the only one that seems to be absorbed some into the bloodstream, which means it doesn't, only 10% goes straight through your body. So people, it's ERYTHRITOL, and it's the most common one I see paired with monk fruit. Monk fruit is a fruit. It's not, grown in our backyards, but it's a fruit that they extract this from. So some people do have digestive issues. Everybody's different. So somebody might, with this, monk fruit combination, find some. But we find in general, I don't like going straight through the colon, guys. Okay, there was this, what was the thing back in Frito-Lay? Oh my goodness, that was horrible. Yes, Illustra, that was horrible. And that went through the body and created, we won't even go there. So it's not good when things go straight through the body, okay? Because we've got bacteria in the colon that then freak out. So there's a system that's been laid down for millions of years that we're breaking right now. So, so just, try it out. And with any sweetener, some people are, I wouldn't say sensitive, but they pick it up. It's like, I know there's a sweetener in here. So you might say, nah, I don't really like it. And in the bottom line, most of the time, you should just be able to use sugar, okay? Because you should be using so little, okay? Does that make sense? So, okay, there is a little talk of that there's some anti-cancer, antioxidant properties with the monk fruit. It's really weak and it's so little. I wouldn't, again, you shouldn't be using much at all. I would never profess to have you have that as like part of your kind of strategy for antioxidants. So, okay, so let's keep the questions coming. I love them. So, okay, so I want to talk a little bit about how do you keep going when things get tough? So, because things will get tough. So, and motivation is one of the hardest things on this journey because the minute you walk outside the door, even sometimes at home, you don't have the support that would be nice to have. Okay, so how do you help boost your motivation? Well, there's a couple different ways. First, I sent the video that I created. So give me your feedback on it because this is my first go at it. Some of you are already giving me your feedback. I appreciate that. But the idea is if you came to this class to lower your cholesterol, to lose weight, to just feel more energy, those are all great things. But I want you to start thinking about what does that specifically give you, enable you, that can keep you going even when you do lower your cholesterol, when you do feel more energy. Because what's the motivation to keep it going? If you got the energy, if you got the cholesterol dropped, it's going to be so tempting to go back to the old habits. And of course, then you will lose those benefits. But I'm just saying, it's really hard. So you've got to have that big why of, you know what, I just feel better and I feel like I'm making a bigger impact in the world, or and my life is more fulfilled and I connect with people better. But write that down. Or it might be, I want to see my grandkids graduate from high school. And that's your goal that you're looking at. There's no right or wrong one. It's whatever you feel great and will help you when things get tough to not quit. Second way of helping is, okay, this is a new thing that I'm recommending. I heard it from one of my favorite podcast doctors, Dr. Rangan, and he does it with his patients, and he's a lifestyle medicine. And he knows it's really tough, and he's very good at recognizing real life. And he works in the UK with, the general population. He's a GP. And he recommends to his patients that they get just some coffee beans like this, and they get a clear glass container. And they set it out. It doesn't have to be the kitchen. But the idea is you set it out, and when you think of some new change that you've made, behavior you've done, then you take a bean and you drop it in. And so every day that you eat one more bite of vegetable, or that you put a fruit on the counter, just on the counter, you put a bean in there, or you have self-compassion for yourself. You put a bean in there. Or, maybe you drive by that restaurant that you normally get takeout and you notice, you know what, I'm not craving it as much anymore. That's a change. You put the bean in there because what we're doing, we're using the bean to measure the gain we have in who we are. And we tend to do the gap. We tend to say, oh, I haven't gotten there yet. I didn't achieve that yet. But it's a journey, guys. And it's going to be curvy and it's going to drop and then you're going to have to pick up. But there's gems in those. And that's part of the road that you need to travel to get to where you're going. And it's rough. And so sometimes just having these things that you can visually say, hey, I'm making a lot of progress. So you guys have been here and you've opened the binder a couple times. and you've read a couple labels. So, at minimum, everybody listening right now has some beans like this just from 2 weeks. And imagine yours could be 3 times more than this. Now, remember, I don't want to fill the jar in 2 weeks. Okay, that's too big. Okay. So, but I do want you to mark your progress. And it can be thoughts, it can be conversations, it can be reading labels, it can be awareness, because awareness is the first step before you can make any behavior change. So you pick what works for you to help you keep going when things get tough. Oh, Dr. Rangan. He's like my last name with an R, Rangan. So he's great. I also forgot. Okay, Naomi.
Yeah.
Did you cook your salmon last week at work?
Well, I did not have salmon at work, but I did actually get my husband to eat chickpea pasta with black beans.
Ooh.
And that was a huge win for him because he's got a lot of, he's like a meat and potatoes kind of guy.
Yeah.
He felt like I tricked him at first. He made it and he actually said he would eat it every third time we have spaghetti. So,
Hey, that's a huge win. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. So Naomi shared that her husband ate bean pasta with beans. So awesome. Now, I thought about what you said, and I had an air fryer to heat up the salmon. And what I did is I just took this, because the juices, you want that lemon and you want the juices to keep it moist. Otherwise it'll dry out. It still tastes good. But I know they sell, and I've seen air fryer like baskets, they're Silpat kind of things, but this is like a child's baking kit it came from, so now I have a good use for it. So, but it fits in my air fryer really nicely. And that way it doesn't, because I have the basket, and so it doesn't seep down, really easy cleanup. So just, I was like, oh, there's got to be a way to make it really easy. And the microwave, like you said, I just don't think the microwave would be the way to go. So, so let us know what you figure out. So I also want to share before I forget, here's my fun plate that I have from home. So this is the one that everybody has to ask me to use at home. So, and this is the one that I know it's my signal to myself that I want to slow down and savor the food. So, find your plate, whatever it is, to really celebrate what you're doing. Okay. Okay. I want to hear from you. We've heard some people, some of their learnings Naomi shared. I want you to take a moment to any learnings, okay, that you've had in the last week. I know somebody shared that I heard that they were reading labels. So anything like that, go ahead and send me in the chat, or take yourself off mute if you're comfortable and share with the class here. And anybody here want to share their learnings from this last week, new kind of steps or thoughts or behaviors?
I kept my own black beans. I got them dried because I thought the sodium in the cans, everyone that I looked at was, I thought, I'm going to do better. So anyway, and it worked. I put it in the crock pot, let it on for, 5 or 6 hours, and cooked the heck out of it. And now I have more in the refrigerator, for different things.
Awesome. So Nancy made beans from she soaked them in the Instant Pot, so the pressure cooker.
Just a crock pot.
A crock pot. She did in the crock pot. So she saved lots of money and no salt. So great. And she's got more. You've made it easier to now eat more. So awesome. So feel free to share from home other sharings.
Teresa?
Yes,
Dr. Pagan?
go ahead.
Oh, you froze, but can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Terry. I have been eating like, a flavored whole yogurt. And so I swapped out with the low fat whole yogurt, and then added more fruit, which gave me the sweetness that the flavored yogurts have had. And so that was just a real simple swap, but it was much healthier when I checked the labels. So
what I'm hearing, Terry, is you saved a lot of sugar.
Yes.
So yes, yogurts are really bad for the sugar. So yes, and sometimes it's even hard to.
Yeah, by going with
Awesome.
that whole milk Greek yogurt, I found that it was interesting, Dr. Penguin, when I compared, I always thought going with the whole milk would be, I had read one time that it's not as good for you as like, I mean, the whole milk yogurt is better for you than reduced fat because they put a lot of additives in the whole or in the low fat to give you the
Okay.
flavor and the texture. But when I compared the labels, the whole milk yogurt was much healthier. I mean, excuse me, the low fat yogurt was much healthier on the labels than the other, you know. So in other words, the whole milk was not as good for me as the low fat. So
Okay.
yeah.
Well, you
Well,
read the
I'm saying one more
labels. Awesome. You read the labels and you did something where I really want to get through. Don't make assumptions about food. Always read the labels because they will try and play around with you so that they can get you to eat it, to put it in your cart. And you're going to find different, brands that will add more kind of ingredients and do more processing. So always compare, always do that. So I love that you're reading the labels closely. Other things? Yes, Molly.
I was going to buy oatmeal and I had used Bob's Red Mill oatmeal, steel cut. And I got to the store, they had gluten-free and the regular. It was $2 difference. Gluten-free was more expensive. Both of them say steel cut, 100% oats. I looked at the ingredients, same one ingredient, oats. And I'm like, is this just a marketing ploy? You know, they're throwing this label on it, so they're charging me $2 more. Well, I checked the labels, the nutritional, and the gluten-free had 0 fat. And just the regular steel cut had like 0.5
Yeah.
of saturated fat. And then there was another one. I don't know if it was, I don't think it was sugar, but maybe the fiber was a little bit different. And so I reached out to my sister who's from the
fellow singer Melissa Etheridge, so she could.
Sorry, let me get this muted.
Tonight, Crosby's family says the 81-year-old passed away after a long illness.
There we go.
And she didn't know why it was different. And then my sister, who has a gluten-free daughter, just says it's the difference in processing. You know, they make sure that it's not contaminated. But to me, that still didn't understand why they have that slight difference in nutritional values. So basically, the gluten-free ones had 0.00000.
Yes, exactly right. Okay, so there are a couple of things. I don't know exactly, but I can throw out some ideas of what's happening. First of all, when you say gluten-free, it has to be gluten-free and made in a processing plant that has no detection of gluten. I mean, not detection, just absolutely has no gluten, because somebody with celiac disease absolutely cannot have a micro shred of gluten, otherwise they will react. Now, somebody that's intolerant, it's a little different, but somebody that's celiac disease, they cannot have gluten. So they have to make sure and pay that $2 more. Now, there's a little rounding also in labels that can be done. And so my hunch is there's a little bit of that, because oatmeal is oatmeal.
I was suspicious.
So, I mean, there's different processing, but this is a pretty simple, minimally processed food. So that's my gut feeling. Again, you're reading labels. I love it. You're comparing, you're asking questions. So that's great. So yeah, gluten-free is, it's a must-have for somebody that's celiac disease. Some people, a small portion of the population has some sensitivity to gluten. And so they find by bringing it way down, almost to none, they often don't have to go to the extreme the celiac does, but they find some symptoms will resolve. But it's not something I traditionally recommend. Okay, there's not a nutritional reason. There's just individual custom kind of things we find. So was there somebody on there that wanted to share? We kept getting some interference, and if you want to share, take yourself off and we're all ears.
Yes, this is Sheila.
Okay, Sheila.
And I did make a huge improvement for me this week. I decided to get off of Diet Cola, Diet Dr. Pepper. And because I was drinking about 10 cans of that a day.
Wow. And what'd you replace it with? Oh my goodness, Sheila.
Ice water.
Okay, you got any lemon slices in there? Or anything?
No, just plain ice water.
In a wine glass?
No.
In a wine glass?
and a big,
Oh, she's going for awesome. Well, I think you have a whole handful of coffee beans in your jar.
yeah,
So
it was
awesome.
a huge deal for me because I mean, if there was an addiction, I've got it for that. And,
Wow.
so it's been a week.
Yes.
So, yeah,
Awesome. Thank you for sharing.
Yes.
That is huge.
yeah,
Huge.
it's
Awesome.
huge for me. So,
Yes. Yes. Awesome. Okay. Awesome. Okay. So I want to dive into our topic for today then. And so, okay.
Somebody just chatted.
Oh, chat, thank you for recognizing. I need your help with figuring those out. So, yay, Sheila from Therese. Yay. Awesome. Thank you, Therese. Yes. Congratulations from Mindy. Yay. So, great. Okay, so our topic today, the environment of the kitchen. So now, how many of us don't know we need to eat more veggies or drink more water? For most of us, the problem isn't what we're supposed to do, what changes to make, but putting it into action and making them stick so it's autopilot. Okay, that's what I want, autopilot. I don't want it, you have to strain to make it happen mentally. So a quote by Stanford behavior change researcher, Dr. BJ Fogg. He's a Stanford researcher and he actually runs some courses that you can take. And I took one of his certifications. So on behavior change, because this is so important with the field that I'm in. And he has a quote that says, there is just one way to radically change your behavior. Radically change your environment. And he goes on to kind of talk about, we see the highest success rate with people in a transition, like moving, like a roommate moved in or out, or they got a new job. These transitions kind of throw your schedule to a loop, and then you make changes. So, but we're not gonna need to do that. Instead, I'm gonna give you some ways that you can do it without that big transition. We want to create an environment that favors the habit you want to take place. And behavior change journalist James Clear calls this priming your environment. You want to, so you want to make it easy. So let's think about things that you're familiar with. If you want your kids or your grandkids to read more, what do? Read to them, get them books. Yes. You create a nook that's beautiful with a pillow or a chair that's their reading space. You get them a bookshelf that they got to pick out. If you want to sleep better, what do?
Dark curtains.
Dark curtains. Turn your phone off, maybe charge it in a different room at night. Maybe, light candles and turn off the bright lights an hour before bedtime. Set a get ready alarm for bed. Those are all things we do to prime ourselves to make it easy to do the things we want to do. You're organizing your environment so it's easy to do the intended action. Now, at the same time, we want to make it hard to do the things we want to cut out or do less often. And that's called increasing the friction or the amount of work required, either mentally or physically, to do the habits you want to avoid. Okay, so let's apply these two concepts: priming our environment so it's easier to do what we want to do, and increasing the friction so it's harder to do the things we want to do less often. Okay, so if we want to eat less food, do we serve food on bigger plates or smaller plates? Smaller. When you go from a 12-inch to a 10-inch, most people will reduce their calories 22%. Yes. So for most people, that's the medium plate, and mine is 8 inches because my set, that's the medium, and I use only the big dinner to serve. Now, if you want to try this out, the styrofoam plates are 9 inches. Okay. So you can try it out. Just buy the styrofoam and try it out and see if you're ready to scale back. Okay. Another example, if you want to stay away from junk food that you have in your house, which one creates the most friction? A, B, or C? A, put the junk food on the counter. B, put the junk food in the garage. C, put it in the storage room where you need a ladder to get to. C, okay?
B's a pretty good idea too, but
B is, yeah, and you can test it out. Pilot, just do a pilot. This is all about pilot testing, guys. This is not a sentence for life. This is just see if this works. Try the garage. Okay.
Ladder and break your leg.
Yeah, we don't want that. So yeah, Nancy's afraid of breaking her leg in the storage room. Okay. One more. If you want to avoid eating chocolates at work that are in a dish near you, which creates the most friction? Putting them out of sight in a drawer, out of reach, or moving them 6 feet away, or just leaving them and having willpower.
moving them 6 feet away.
The research Julie said moving them 6 feet away. The research actually was done and they find that you eat half as much just by moving it 6 feet away. You have to get up out of the chair and walk. But if it's in that area, even like, if you're kind of a welcoming committee, even if it's up there, you're going to stand up. And so, yes, and out of sight's good too. But the research was done actually on just putting it 6 feet away. Oh, one more. Okay, if you want to make meal prep easier, do you A or B? Do you A, assume you'll get home 1 hour before dinner with lots of energy left and you'll be motivated to make the entire meal? Or you find when your mental energy is highest for you in the day, maybe after dinner is done and cleaned up and meal prep for the next day, or maybe the first thing in the morning while your coffee is brewing, or maybe on the weekend, early Sunday afternoon where their pressure is off.
Second one, Sunday.
Sunday, Elaine says. So where is there any that you guys think you would feel the pressure off? You would have the most mental energy to do, and you could try it out. Because most people are discouraged because they're trying to do all the meal prep at night. I don't.
I've been going home for lunch. I do a lot of it at lunchtime.
Molly does it at lunchtime, goes home for lunch because you have more mental energy still there. A lot of it is mental energy, not just physical. Your physical does decline throughout the day, but a lot of people's mental, with all this multitasking, switching, all this we're handling, that drains our mental energy. We have a limited capacity. Okay, all right, so let's jump over to the PowerPoint. Okay, so kitchen, your most critical environment for changing your eating behaviors. Okay, our quote, if you keep good food in your refrigerator, you will eat good food. Makes sense. Makes sense. Okay, so how many food decisions does the average person make in a day?
50. No,
It's a good guess. It's actually higher. 50 was a guess.
500.
500. Well, okay. Julie, that's a stressful day. So it's actually 219 is research has found. So, and it's things like, am I hungry? Should I eat now? Look at the time. How much time do I have to eat now? What should I eat? Oh my goodness, what do I have on hand? It's all those decisions. And these are all mental energy drains. And that's why things like menu planning are so important, because they actually give you back energy. because you don't have to make those decisions. So, and what if you had on hand things like, oatmeal, fruit, coffee, green tea, leftovers, beans, fish, artichokes, sliced fresh turkey, hummus, spinach, whole grains, reduced balsamic that we're going to make tonight, hard-boiled eggs, popcorn, homemade dip, those things, if you've got them on hand, that's the first step to making it easy. Okay, so now the number one strategy to ensure success is to have an environment that supports healthy habits. So what does that look like? Okay, so we're gonna divide the kitchen into zones, 4 zones. You are in charge of the kitchen. So these are things that you can change around. So you are the influencer of your health. So refrigerator, starting with the refrigerator. Now this is like a food safety chart, and don't keep your ears closed because I'm going to ignore some of the kitchen rules for food safety. Now, of course, always meat should go lowest shelf, that's raw, and in a pan covered so that there's no drippings getting anywhere, always that. But the refrigerator zones were actually set up for temperatures. Yes, we don't really have a problem with food spoiling in the refrigerator. We really have a problem with the fruits and vegetables getting eaten, okay? So, and so this was created, these, refrigerators and all that were created back in the 50s. So, and we've still got kind of a lot of their design going on. They're starting to update them, but where your eye goes is really, really important. A study in the UK, they asked people to just pick one item out of the refrigerator, report on it, and the most picked item was in the center. So you've got to figure out for you, what is your first item to pick? Is it the center? Is it the right center? Is it the top right? I know it depends if you have a double door or one door. So, but when you get home, and those at home, you are welcome to check and to see when you open the refrigerator door, what's the first thing you see? And that tells you that is your New York, Manhattan, $1.5 million apartment rent, real estate. Okay. It's probably more like 12 million actually, but I've never lived in New York City, but so that's your primo real estate, where the eye goes first. Another study asked people to take all the fruits and vegetables from their drawers and just put them on the top shelf. That's all the instructions they were given. After a week, they reported back they were eating 3 times more fruits and vegetables. They weren't even told to cut up the fruits and vegetables, but they just ate them because they could see them. Okay. So where your eye goes first is so important. Okay. So we're going to break the rules, like I said, for kind of the normal kind of arrangement based on food safety. And this is actually a picture. It's not a current one, but I'm going to show you a couple different ones because mine evolves. But, and this was a time during COVID when I had all the kids at home. And when the young adults are at home, they have to make meals. And so I find their salads are better in the bag. They just can't seem to make a salad out of the box and add a couple things to it. So the bag works for them. So I'm like, cool, we'll just get bag salads. So you see those there. You can see I have some vegetables ready to grab in baggies. There's all different ways to do that. But you can see that I pulled them up out of, so they're easy to see and they're ready to go. Here's another look at my refrigerator. Couple things there. You can see the little containers there on the right there. Those are ready to go. Now those are small. They are pretty small. I wish they were a little bigger, but they were inexpensive. They're clear. I've got like 50 of them. Really, I do. So, but the kids have them in their rooms. You know how that goes. And they use them for other things. So I really like to always have on hand like 15 because I just never know. So I will sometimes do do 2 containers because they are kind of like more like barely a half cup that's in there. But it's so easy to put things in there and ready to grab. And you can do baggies. I also recommend, I have these, whoa, they're with my shelf. Okay, this is what I use here, but you can get these for the refrigerator, and I have one at home for my refrigerator. You can also at Tuesday mornings, they actually have some inexpensive. Amazon, they're pretty expensive, these things. But Tuesday mornings has quite a few selection. And I've had people like, Teresa, I really just can't afford to get those containers. And I'm like, can you do like a clear from the dollar store, a clear shoe container? And then just don't use the lid. So you just need something that you can pull out that's clear, that you can see and have stacked your baggies or your containers. It's like broken and I forget that when I take it out. So sorry. So just, yeah, I'll put it back together. Sorry, I forgot about that. I just wanted to show you. So, but it's really helpful to have that because you can stack them all the way back there and have ready to go for the week. Oh, I forgot. I have it in the other room, my food, but like, these are great. I brought in some red pepper strips in there with the top on. I just grabbed it. I put it in. You can use this. Oh, you guys at home can't see. I'll show you. To store things in too. It's glass, so you gotta be a little careful, but you know, these are actually not that expensive. You can get the plastic lids and use them. So there's different things to use. Clear plastic or glass. Glass is just more expensive. Some of the baby food ones are really nice. Those are thick glass that don't break when you drop them. So, storing them in small containers ready to go. Carrots on that middle shelf, that's not going to work for most of us because a carrot requires a peeler, a cutting board, a knife. That's 3 things you just made dirty. And it requires about 30 seconds at minimum. You're not going to, when you're thinking, I want something right now, you are not going to do that for most of us. Okay, unless it's first thing in the morning, but later in the day, most of us are like, just, I want it now. So I say it's 20 seconds or it's the potato chip bag. So you got to think like that and start just playing around. It's a thing that you play around with. You're like, oh, maybe that'll work. And with this, you can actually, it's a snack that I recommend in the Cooking with Heart for Diabetes is put like a 1/4 cup of hummus. And then you stick your carrot sticks or your red pepper sticks in there. So it's a really good, and everybody will be jealous. They'll be like, what did you do? Wow, that is so cool. So you've got the dip ready to go there. So, okay, here's some other tricks kind of that I do. And the one there with the oatmeal there, I've got the 1/2 cup measure. I know oatmeal comes in the container. Like, Teresa, why do you do that? It's just one thing that makes it a little easier. I've got the 1/2 cup measure. I just go in the morning. It's just 1/2 cup go. Blueberries in the microwave, and you know, I'm doing it while I'm getting, you know, my hair and face ready. So but it's a system that I've got down. So you've got to create your systems. Any food you're using multiple times a week, you want to actually have the measuring whatever scoop spoons right there to make it easy. First of all, you don't have to wash them, so there's less washing because you're using it for the same thing every time. And secondly, it's right there. You don't have to dig it out. So start thinking about what you can put together. So like, even like for dinner, if there's a seasoning that a recipe from class you like, and it's got 3 seasonings, 5 seasonings, just measure them and put them in a little container and label it. And then you're ready to go the next time. So anything like that, that middle one in the top there, that's my homemade trail mix. And so you can see the little containers I have kind of like portioned out. I don't measure it, but I just portion out these little containers. And that's, hey, if I'm stuck and I need a protein to hold me over, it's the trail mix because it's got nuts, dried fruit, sunflower seeds, things like that. Then on the right, this is a hot cocoa mix that I make in the winter with hot cacao. And I've got the measuring spoons in there because I hate cocoa, you know, cleaning those spoons, it makes a mess. So I just clip it with a baggie to the hot cocoa. So again, start thinking about the things that you use over and over that you want to make more and more. Okay, I have a chia mix in the Cooking with Cancer class that I have the teaspoon measure with the container that I always have like 10 servings at least, and I can measure it out. I don't have to think about it. I don't have to dig for it. So just make it easy. The bottom one there, I really detest going for measuring cups. So I have a huge container on my counter, so I don't have to dig for them. So that's just me, my own kind of thing. The other thing is I do recommend, highly recommend, any utensils you're using a couple times to every day, a week, put in some type of container along your backsplash. So there's great containers again at Tuesday mornings. I was there the other day and I'm like, oh, this would make a good utensil container. Or with your grandkids, get some like pots, plant pots and decorate them and then put utensils in them. I don't care, but make it something you love that's against the backsplash. So it's really easy to grab the spoons and the spatulas and the tongs and the whatever, the whisk, things like that. Make it easy. So this is just a container that I got many years ago that I love, that I hold those things that I'm using all the time. So some storage hacks here in the refrigerator. We've got the lettuce. If you do a co-op, typically you get these delicate lettuces. I never know what they're called, but you want to keep them separate, like they're separated with a towel to keep the moisture off of them. So that's one way to go. If it's more robust, like a romaine or an, I don't do iceberg, but a romaine or a green lettuce, you can chop it up and roll it in a towel like that and put a rubber band around it. And just at night, you can just take out what you're going to use the next day. So these are just ways of keeping it a bunch of lettuce and keeping it longer. The apples there, the reason why I have the apples there, they're in a basket separated out in the drawer. I do put my apples in a drawer. Oh, and yes, I can't see them, but I know they're there. And the reason I do that is because apples are one of 2 high ethylene gas offenders. Okay, nothing bad, it's just natural. It's a ripening gas that it emits, but it's very high by apples. And the problem is whatever it's next to, it's going to ripen quick. Okay, so whatever you put in that drawer, it's going to ripen. So usually what I put in that drawer are my lemons and limes in freezer bags. So that even though they have skin on them, they still will get that ethylene gas. So I put the freezer bags and I just leave the freezer bags in there after I've used up my limes. And then the next time I get one, I put them in that baggie. So I'm not using multiple baggies. But just know apples and then bananas, we're going to get to, are your big ethylene gas offenders. Okay, the freezer. Question is fresh or nutritious? I mean, fresh or frozen more nutritious?
They can be pretty close because fresh or frozen are usually picked at their peak of their freshness.
Yes.
And then-
So I call it a draw.
Okay.
We can go back and forth a little bit. So we tend to think the fresh, and I'm not saying fresh isn't great. I'm just saying don't dismiss. So it's because it's flash frozen. They practically back the truck up into the field, and they do a very brief heating because they want to destroy some of the enzymes that make it go bad. They do break down just a teeny bit of the cell structure. So it's not quite like fresh, but it's not soggy. So you can use it in smoothies and soups, and there's a lot of different uses you can use for them. So just frozen without any salt or sugar added is a great way to go. So you can freeze items flat, you see there. A lot of times I'll put a cutting board in the freezer or a baking pan, but my cutting board's smaller, so I put parchment and then I freeze berries and whatever, and then I'll take it out and put it in a container after it's frozen solid. So okay, so pantry. We want to get things organized by how you think. Don't follow somebody's blog post online because it works for them, but it may not work for you. How do you think? Do you think in cuisines? Do you think in spicy and not spicy? How do you think in wet and dry? I don't know. Okay. I actually have 2 different seasoning cupboards. One of them is like use all the time. And I know my garlic powder, my onion powder, my chili powder are all there. But the ones I've got like 20 or 30 that are, I use a lot, but they aren't quite as frequent, are in the bigger cupboard. So how do you think? That's how you want to organize. There are some suggestions on the handout, and you actually have a handout that has a lot of suggestions for items to start thinking about storing, because part of what you need to do to make this work is to get food in your kitchen that you want to eat more of. And that makes it easier to season food so that you'll eat more of them. So, okay, the kitchen countertop. So here we already talked about on the countertop, we only want food that we want to eat more of. And we don't want to put food that we want to eat less of. Visual triggers are one of your biggest triggers, guys. And I'll get people that'll be like, yeah. And then I'll, hear about their countertops. I'm like, get the stuff off your countertop. So when my kids were living with me during COVID, there was junk food in the house, and that's okay. They're young adults. That happens. They had their cupboard way up high that they were supposed to store. But I would, when I got up in the morning, and if I found any of their 1 o'clock in the morning bakings or chip eatings, I would have a little talking to them. Okay. I don't want it on my counter when I get up in the morning, because I get tempted too, guys. I'm hungry and I'm like, wow, it's been a while. I like sugar too, just like the next person. So I don't want that there, because once I start picking at the brownies, half the row's gone. So just, if you need to, like at the family meeting, yes, I did at the family meeting, we had a little talk about, guys, you need to clean up. I don't care. It's fine that you're baking in the middle of the night, but I need you to clean up by morning time. So, if you have other people in the household that are kind of eating a little differently, then you gotta have some agreement on the ground rules. Okay. So, I wanted to point out here a couple things that are wrong with this picture. We have apples and bananas in this basket. Looks pretty, but I would never do that, because you're going to ripen everything in there quicker. Okay, bananas, you know how they have the hooks for bananas on a lot of the pretty shelves? The hook isn't for pretty. The hook is to get the bananas away from everything. So you don't need a hook. You just need to set them away from. Don't set them next to things unless you want them to ripen. Same with the apples. Don't set them with things. Okay, so last thing is utensils. I want you to think about your utensils and pots and pans as to, are they things you're using daily or almost daily? Then you want that to be 2 feet or less away from your prep zone. That drawer that is right under your prep zone is really valuable. And here's the thing, drawers in kitchens do not have to be stuffed full, guys. Okay. When my mom moved after my dad passed away, that was so hard on her. And I went over and she's like, can you help me organize? Oh my goodness, her drawers were stuffed with stuff that we hadn't used for 3 Christmases. So you got to get those things out that you're not using regularly. Move them out to the storage room if you're not using them at least once a week. Okay. Or hide where you need a stool or something, because you're slowing yourself down by putting them in with the other stuff. Okay. Drawers really should be pull open. I can see everything really quickly. I grab what I need. I go. That's what you want. Now, things that are like once a week to maybe-ish once a week, those can go 2 feet or more from your prep zone. Okay. And the high up things that are hard to reach, those are the things for Christmas. Those are the things once a month or less. Okay. So it really makes sense. Okay. Action steps. So I want to go over those really quick. We have some more that I'll go over in class as we go through the recipes, but rearranging your food in the refrigerator, pilot test it, guys. It's not in stone, but start figuring this out. Take your kitchen tools out of your drawers and just take them all out one Saturday or Sunday and just go through them and figure out you've got 3 peelers. You've got a broken something, okay? But go through them and reorganize and only put those things you're using frequently 2 feet or less away. Test out ready to eat veggies being stored where you look first in the refrigerator. Downsize your dinner plate. Maybe you want to try that out. And then go through the handout looking for maybe 5 items that you want to start putting in your kitchen, because they'll help you prepare either quicker or season foods to your liking. Okay, there's more on your action step for the, today, but I just wanted to capitalize on those. Okay, let's get back here and I'm going to switch the camera so that we can get, well, before we switch the camera, I want to let you guys at home see, here is a possible container with a plastic lid. You can use this for to-go kind of things. I used it for red peppers today. I do want to do some knife skills real quick. So I have two knives here. These are both mine. This is actually the kitchen's, but I have an identical one at home. This is a Sunduko knife. It's a Japanese chef knife, and this is a traditional chef's knife by Zell. It's around 50 bucks, not super expensive. I know it's not super cheap, but it's heavy, and it's traditionally longer than your Sunduko, okay? And how you want to hold a knife is you don't hold it back here, guys. Okay, you hold it tight up here like you're doing a firm handshake. Okay, you can bring your thumb up there if you want to. You don't have to go up here, but just hold it tight in there, overlap a little bit into the blade so you have a good firm grip. Okay, here. Okay, you can put it here if you want to here. Okay, so now, anybody know what this is? It's we a lot of times we call it a sharpener, but let me just kind of clear up some things. It is actually called a honing rod, and it doesn't shave off metal. So that's why I want to clarify. Okay. So what it does is the metal is kind of like, think of it like basket fibers and that metal block. And when you're using it for hours a week doing your food prep, what happens to those fibers is they start to flatten out like this. Okay? And imagine, is your knife going to be sharper or duller when your fibers flatten like this on a micro level? Duller. That's what happens. And we need to, with the honing rod, we realign the fibers of the metal. That's all we do, but it's enough that it makes it sharper. So what you do is, I usually have a dish rag at home, but we don't have one here. So you have to be careful because you don't want to do like this. So you take your knife and you need about 18 to 22 degrees. Don't worry about measuring, okay? I'm going to show you the trick to it. You go half. Okay, do you guys see here? Half. So I'm at like parallel with the floor. Then I go half again, and then half again. Okay, so 3 times halves. Start with the butt of the knife and pull it towards you, keeping the angle correct. And then we go on the other side and the other side. And once your knife is normally sharpened, you only need to do this like 6 to 10 times. But if you want to show off, you can, keep going. So, but if you haven't done it for like never, then you probably need to do like 5 minutes of this. But I would cut something first, a tomato, a carrot, a potato, something so you kind of go, okay, I can feel how hard the knife went through, then hone it for a couple minutes, and then cut it and see if it's better. It should be. Now, it may not, because it might be time for shaving metal. And that is what these are. These shave metal. These are what we traditionally call a sharpener. So this one is made for the Sunduko knife. It's $13. Well, it's probably gone up, but it's what's recommended. Look what's recommended for your knife. But traditionally, Sunduko knife, this is called a Rollo. And all you need to do is this one, you just go back and forth. So, and you keep the pressure. I've already sharpened these, but you keep the pressure even and go back and forth like 10 times. And that should be good. You can wipe the knife off because technically you've taken some metal off. For this is a chef's knife sharpener, Wüsthof. Okay, so German knives, this is pretty typical. So what we do here is, if it's been never that you sharpened, you will start with the coarse, but you don't go back and forth with a chef's knife. Here's my chef's. Okay, with this, you only pull towards you and you do like firm pressure 3 times. And then you do fine 3 times. Now, if you're regularly sharpening, then fine should be enough. Now, honing, you just do every 6 to 8 hours of food prep. That's like once a week for most people. Just do it like when you do your food prep once a week. So just hone it. You can't over hone. I do it almost every time I sit down to food prep because I do a little more than most people. And hey, I want to make sure I have a sharp knife. Now, sharpening typically is going to be closer to 3 to 6 months if you're regularly chopping. That's it. Okay. So you shouldn't have to do it that often. You can have electric knife sharpeners. I think they take up more room. They're more expensive. So why? Now, if I had like $1,000 knife, like some of the chefs on TV do, I would probably actually send them to a professional knife sharpener. So you can do that. So, so now you know how to take care of your knife. The other thing is when you ever cut something acid, like a lemon or a lime, rinse your knife pretty quick after. Don't let it sit. It will erode. And don't put these in the dishwasher. My kids know that. If I find it in the dishwasher, they're gonna get a little chick chat with. So it just wears them down sooner. And I want these to last my lifetime, and they will if I treat them right. Okay. This one's probably about $70 for a Sudoku. There's cheaper knives out there. They might work just the same. I don't know. So these are good ones. So, okay. Oh, I want to show you real quick. So when we talk about cutting, it's really important that you understand why it's so important you have a sharp knife, not just because you go quicker, not just because it's easier to make shapes the same. It's because think about when you're cutting the cell of the plant. Okay, when I cut the cell of the plant with a sharp knife, it's like a clear pop like that. Okay, it's a clean cut. We're not smushing the cell. But when I use a dull knife, which most people have, okay, because when I go to somebody's house and there's any possibility I'm going to be doing food prep, I bring my knife. Sorry, guys. So think of this. Look how far it goes down before it pops. That is what you're doing with a dull knife. You are really squishing the cell wall. It changes the flavor. It changes things a lot, guys. Okay, so a sharp knife is not only safe, it's just better for our culinary purposes. So, okay.
Dr. Pengan? Dr.
What's that?
Pengan?
Yes.
Terry, do you have any tips for serrated knives?
Well, serrated, you're going to have to sit. They should last pretty long. If you want those sharpened, you're going to have to send those into a professional sharpener. Yeah.
Okay.
You can't. Now, some of the knives have like these nice little ripples here. Mm-hmm. Those are created, and those are nice knives a lot of times. Those are so like, have you ever cut a potato and you're like, come on, stop sticking. It clings to the knife. Those ripples are so that it will slide off. Okay. You can still sharpen those knives, but a serrated is different. Okay. So you're going to have to send that in. So
thank you.
Yeah. Okay. And I'm glad you said that because I need to change our camera as we get going. Let's make sure. Yep. Okay. So quinoa is an ancient grain. It's one of the highest in protein of whole grains. So that's why I like it. It's easy. I make it all the time. So it takes only 10-12 minutes to make from a whole grain. That's your quickest one that I know of. So it's also high in fiber. Okay, half a cup has about 8 grams of protein and about 4 or 5 grams of fiber. High. So you rinse it. You need to rinse it, and the ratio is 2 to 1. So this is a half cup, so I'm going to get 1 cup of water. You rinse it because there's saponin on there. It's something natural. It will taste a little soapy. It's nothing bad, but we don't like soap taste. Even if it says already rinsed, I always rinse it. Just do. So we are I'm going to cook it real quickly here on the stove. We're going to bring it to a boil. And it only takes 10-12 minutes to evaporate. Depends upon how much you're making, 10-12. So we're going to get that going really quick. But I'm going to go ahead and make the quinoa salad. Or actually, nope, let's make the broccoli. So because I want to get that in the oven. So, and actually I can just real quickly put that in while I'm showing you how to do it. So can you grab that, Lisa, and bring it over? So, okay, I've got my broccoli ready. Roasting, really, really cool way to bring out new flavors in foods. And it just changes things. So when somebody says, I don't like broccoli, I don't like kale, I'm like, have you tried it all different ways? Because there's all different ways. You can saute kale, you can have it raw, you can, oh my goodness. And then broccoli, we're going to microwave it today, steam it essentially, and then we're going to roast it. And you can see how different they are. So I am going to take my broccoli to store it, wet paper towel. You can put a rubber band to keep the paper towel on or not, just put it on. You can put the paper towel on, spray it with water or, under the sink and put it on there. Broccoli store in the back because it likes cold, okay? It loves cold. So I'm going to show you real quickly here. I want to cut these because how you cut broccoli a little bit is special. So for this, we're just going to cut off there. And another trick for your prep area is to have a discard bowl. If you're right-handed, it's in the upper left. Okay, and that's where you put things like that, because if I have to go 2 steps over to the wastebasket, that wastes time and I will probably spill. So it really does make things go smoother by having a discard there. So, okay, when I do roasted, I don't go down quite as far as salad florets. So I go like this, okay? And then what I do is, because I want to get a 1/2 inch and I want to be pretty good about getting that 1/2 inch, I just cut like this, okay? So I just go through the bunch. You see how here, I just go 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Now these are big pieces and it has a lot of the stem, which is delicious when you roast it. It's not as pretty, but so I might just go like that to get a more smaller piece, but still keep with it. So we can just do that real carefully like this here. I'm going to go down to get my even pieces. So, okay, so we have that. And then we have 6 cups. You can roast without oil. I like just a teeny bit of oil because, and I use olive oil, the regular olive oil I use on it, everything, because fat helps you absorb fat soluble vitamins. So just adding a skosh, it doesn't really change how it tastes in a significant way that I've ever noticed, but I do toss it with just a little bit of oil. So let's just pretend I put a little oil here, measure out your tablespoon if you have 6 cups here. And then we just toss it like this, kind of work it through. It's not going to be perfect, but you just do that. And then we put it onto parchment, onto the baking pan. Now, what I want to point out here is I have space, roughly a 1/2 inch, not perfect, but you see there's space. If you just drop it on there, you are going to, it's going to be uneven and it's going to have to steam before it caramelizes and roasts. So, and creates, now in broccoli, we usually don't get that sugar caramely, but we get aromatic compounds, savory compounds that develop. And that takes a high temp and time, and it's not steaming. So it'll have to go, when it's squished together, it has to go longer through a steaming process to get to the roasting. So I separate them out and notice how I took out the little pieces. Okay, those are a waste in roasting here. You can save the little pieces for your marinara sauce, put them in the freezer and add them to your spaghetti sauce. You know, they're great for that. But here, they're not going to be great because they're just going to burn. So notice, here's my 2 pans. They're pretty even and they're spaced out. Parchment, not aluminum foil. And then we can do nutritional yeast as a topping that has fiber and it tastes a little bit salty, or we can do just a very light sprinkle with salt, okay? So I'm gonna put these in. And can somebody put the timer on their phone for 20 minutes? About 20 to 25 minutes. So thank you. And then they'll be done. And we'll see how what you want to happen is it's a dark brown, almost black on the florets. So we want that on all the florets. That's the trick when you roast. So
I have a question, does it work with a silk hat or not?
to
To roast broccoli or any of the veggies instead of parchment?
Yeah, it's fine. I just don't do aluminum foil. I just trying to play it safe. So I'm gonna microwave this a minute and a half. So you can see the broccoli. And I want to show you just another quick, easy way to make broccoli. The other thing that's nice when you're doing food prep, let me put back my discard bowl. I'm gonna need that, is to have a dishcloth here so that you can like wipe off, because you know broccoli has all that stuff there, and wipe off. I just can't have dishcloths here, so but I can just do this, so that way I can keep going. So there we go. Okay, so
For your quinoa or anything, it's a pretty good.
we just
recipe.
yeah, it's this good. I just need to bring it down. Thank you for noticing that. I just need to bring it down a little bit. So we're gonna bring it down. So yeah, it's gonna evaporate really quickly. Thank you, Julie. Okay, so let's go back to our quinoa bowl. So I want to show you the rest of that. Here we go. So we'll just throw it together because I have all the ingredients here. I want to be careful about blocking your guys' view. Well, I guess you're seeing here.
You want me to take this and put this aside?
Yes, thank you. Perfect. So let me grab, this is my quinoa here. So can you catch the refrigerator?
Yes,
Sorry.
I did it.
Do you have 3 hands there? Okay, so I have my quinoa. For this salad, it's nice if it is cold. So I put it in the refrigerator. It cools down pretty quick. So you can see it's the little seeds here. So, oh, we need to make some some reduced balsamic. So I will make that. Oh, my Lord. So I want you guys to see that beautiful bright green. And we can, the parquet, oh, there's a,
There you
yeah,
go.
nope, that's
it.
fine. Parquet is an option. Sometimes for dinner when I'm in a hurry, I'll just put the broccoli in here, set it next to the other dishes. This is a vented top that does beautiful with steaming vegetables in the microwave. And I'll set the parquet next to this closed like this. So the kids can just spray whatever, they dish it out. Parquet is margarine. It's going to have saturated fat in it, but it's a spray. So you're going to use very little. Okay. So that's an option there. So just another way for broccoli that is delicious and easy. Okay, we need to make the reduced. I want to make the reduced real quick. So let me get this boiling and I'll explain what I'm doing here. Okay, so I've got balsamic here. This is not expensive. So this is, well, everything goes up in price. It's like $5 for this. You can get double the size at Walmart. All you need to look for in reduced balsamic with what we're doing is on the back, the ingredients you want to have wine vinegar and grape must, M-U-S-T. Grape must is a special grape in Italy that they boil and evaporate down to half. And when it's evaporated down to half, that's called the must. And so they add some cheap wine vinegar with it. And this is what they get. Now you might see caramel food coloring and that's okay. But make sure either first or second is a grape must. It'll probably be second because it gets more expensive if it's first. Usually wine vinegar is going to be the first one. So that's what you need. And what we're going to do is reduce it ourselves and reduce off that vinegar. So you can smell it already, right? Yeah. So one word of caution, never put your head over this while you're boiling it, because you will go into shock. And the exercise people down the hall, when I had the door closed, came down and said, "What is it you're cooking?" Because I did 1 bottle of this, and this is what it made. That's how much I reduced it down to, guys. Yes. Okay. So it's a lot of boiling. It took about a half an hour. When I do the Walmart size, it takes about 40 to 45 minutes at home. I have this at home next to the stove. Now, what I do to make sure I don't burn it is I use popsicle sticks to help me know where I am. This is really light. That's actually lighter than you probably thought it was going to be. It's very light. It's boiling. I will watch it and see when I think it gets down to half or a little less than half. Then I will turn the high boil down, and I will continue to use my popsicle sticks to see where I am. If you see here, these are the popsicle sticks that I used when I was making it. You can see we get lower in volume and we get darker. And here's the final one. Look how caramely that is. Okay, so I'm going to pass this around so you guys can see that. But that's your guide. One thing, when you're finished, and I'll show you best I can, when you're done, you don't want to let it get to that caramely stage because it will thicken once it gets off the heat. Okay, and so this thickened, and you can see there, it's probably almost too thick. It's not burnt, it's just really thick. And if I can get this out, you guys will be like, whoa, that's great. I probably at home would add a little water, hot water to this and shake it up. Okay, it's reduced, so the vinegar is gone, but it's just a little too thick right now to like get out, because I'll put it on my roasted veggies, I'll put it on asparagus. I mean, I'll put it on strawberries, anything you want a little sweet zing, perfect. Okay, 1 ingredient, no saturated fat, and I think the sodium is 0. Okay, so it's a great way to spice things up, and you can draw with it. So just saying, it's fun. So
Is it refrigerated or just on the countertop?
countertop, it's vinegar. Okay, are you afraid of it being vinegar? Okay, asking my coworker there. So, yes, so good question. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna finish that, but I'm not gonna add the balsamic. I'm gonna let you guys at home here add it. That's the way I serve this usually, is I let people squeeze. That way they can add as much, and it's actually more fun to squeeze and draw, because you'll see it comes out this thin stream. So, okay, in our quinoa here, you can see here, buff that up a little bit. We're gonna add, I'm 3-timing this. So this is 1.5 cups of strawberries, 1.5 cups of blueberries. You can add frozen blueberries, just give yourself a half an hour and be gentle for them to thaw. You can substitute all and use all strawberries or all blueberries. I just like the color and the flavor and the variety, but if you don't have it, that's fine. So then we're going to walnuts. Walnuts are a great crunch added to this. Is that, yeah, go ahead and take it off. Go ahead, thank you. So let's see how we're doing here. Look at, we're getting closer. Okay, and you can see the foam there. I don't know if you can see that kind of foamy. So I'm going to see how I'm parting the Red Sea here. You want it parting the Red Sea like Moses, and have it stay a little bit and then come down like Hershey syrup, not like fudge. Okay, and we're pretty much there. So I'm going to take it off and let it cool, and it's going to thicken some more. Okay, so, but again, you can see it's like Hershey syrup. I might be able to go a little more. I just don't want to burn it. So no, see, we're thickening. I can see it thickening up there. It's tricky. It tricks you. So, okay, and then we're going to add a little Parmesan. Yes, Parmesan has salt and saturated fat, but we're backing way down using the grated and using the shaved, and the Bel d'Orsio. I have the brand on your pictures. What is it called?
It's Bella Gisio.
Bella Gisio is by far the lowest sodium, and I've had trouble since COVID finding it. So just read all the Parmesans and find your lowest one. So, but it's a really kind of elegant, nice touch, guys. You can skip it if you want to, but Again, you're allotted 10 grams of saturated fat a day. You don't have to use it all, but you don't have to be scared of a little bit of saturated fat. And then we're gonna finish it out with the, spinach. I knew there was something else, spinach. Okay, here the spinach, when I get home, no matter if I'm gonna use the spinach that day or not, I always open it and put a paper towel because it's the moisture that ruins the baby spinach. And a lot of times I'm in the store and it looks like it's got 7 more days and I'm like, I can see the moisture on that. That's not lasting 7 days. So I always put that in there because that will save you a lot. So here's my spinach. Add that in and mix that. And let me see here.
Don't forget you have 2 burners on there yet.
Yes, they're hot. So let me just see if I can get a little bit of my super thick out so I can show you how fun it is to do. I was afraid of that after I did it. I was like, oh, and I tasted it. It was so good. So it's like caramely. I don't know if I'm going to get any out. I'm going to fight it.
Set it upside down for a minute.
I know. I just need to,
hold it.
yeah. So let Lisa help me out here.
Yeah,
So-
with your hands.
But we also, I can show you a little bit here. This is not quite cool. So run under hot water. Yes, thank you. So yes. So we're going to mix that in. But that light sweetness without the vinegar is really nice. It's a little more complex. It's not just sweet. So there we go. So this is a great lunch salad. It's a great salad just to take to gatherings. So quinoa salad, great. Okay, so we have zoodles. I'll throw that together really quickly. And we'll finish up with the peanut crunchy bowl. So, okay, zoodles. That's the peanut crunchy. Here we go, zoodles. So lots of things going on here. So zoodles. Okay, here's the zoodle that I use. I do not use the $30, $50 one that you have to hook up and figure out how to. This is $10 probably on Amazon. Use the thicker end because the more skin you have, it holds up better when you cook it. So you want to use a medium to small, but not your homemade kind of different shaped ones because they're not going to go in here. Okay, we're going to cut off the top and the bottom. Leave the skin on. I've already washed it. And let me see, my thicker end is here. I'm just going to spiralize that. See how quick this goes? And then you've got an end here to help out when you get, so you don't cut yourself at the end. So we can put that in there and we can use that to twist it. So see how quick that went? Okay, I usually, because we got these long strands, I will usually cut it a little bit there. It's just a little more manageable. Okay, so I've already done some because the trick with zoodles, don't use the frozen. I've only had 1 out of 5 times work, okay? Don't try the frozen. Is to get the moisture, some of it out, not all of it because it's like 90% water, but we need to get the surface moisture out. So what we do is we just, if you have 30 minutes, I know it's a luxury, but it's nice. So you put the paper towels in the bottom and you let it sit. You can do a little sprinkle of salt. Why? Because the salt will pull out the water, not because we're going to eat the salt. So, and then you put paper towels on top and we're just going to press. We're not going to pound, we're just going to press. You can see I'm getting some of that moisture off from the ones I just spiralized. And that's it. Okay, it's not complicated, guys. That's it. We're perfect. So we're ready to rock and roll. So, yes.
Is ready.
Oh, okay. So let's show. You go ahead, Lisa, and you go ahead and draw on there.
Oh, sure. Down here.
It's really thick. It's coming. It's
Still
coming.
really thick, but it's Oh my gosh. Hang on, it's not ready. I thought it was. Okay, forget it.
That's okay.
I've had really old Hershey syrup.
Yes,
There
yes,
you go.
yes. Okay, we're gonna work on a little more.
Sorry, I thought it was.
No,
Better.
no. Okay, so we're gonna get cooking because this goes quick. The noodles actually go super quick. So, and there's the quinoa, guys. You just fluff it up. It's done. See how cool that is. So, okay, here I'm gonna use a little bit of olive oil. Here we go. Just put that on there. I have a little sponge. It's not a little sponge. It's a sponge that I cut, just a little piece, and I put it in a little dish that I have next to the stove. And what I'll do is I'll use it to just kind of wipe it around, and then I'll throw it in the dishwasher. So it's my little. I used to use paper towels, so to run around, but I was just like, oh, there's a lot of paper towels I'm using. So it's just something that I do. So we're going to turn that on, and we're going to do the garlic then.
They're food grade sponges, or you just use a regular old sponge?
Well, a brand new regular sponge, yes. Just a small, the regular, not anything fancy. Okay, so we're going to get the garlic going, and we've got ready to go our zoodles. And I also have ready to go tomatoes. I don't know if you noticed here, I have my tomato slicer. So this is really nice. What happened to the top? Here it is. So we're just going to slice that. It's so nice. So there I go. So we're going to do the garlic there. Let me spread it out just a tad so it all gets the heat. Remember, we cook this for 20 to 30 seconds, no more. You want to smell the garlic. Now, this room is ventilated so well, we're not going to smell the garlic. But 20 to 30 seconds, usually at home, you'll start to smell the garlic. And then we want to add the tomatoes. Okay, and the tomatoes you can actually just do a little shake of salt again to bring out the water a little bit and then cook it down. I'm just going to leave it, but you could do that, just a sprinkling. And we're just going to heat the tomatoes to give them a little flavor, but also take out some of the water. I've got scallions ready to go here. Scallions, I just want to point out, this is how you store them. Okay, wet paper towel on the ends in a loose bag. When you chop them up, you chop both ends. The green has chlorophyll, guys. Chlorophyll is super great for pollution, filtering out of your body. So it also is lower glycemic index than down here. So I always make sure I use white and green parts of my scallions. A trick too is Parmesan shaker. Clean out a Parmesan shaker. You know, the cheap Parmesan shakers? Clean it out. And usually two of these bunches, chop entirely up, put in the Parmesan shaker and put it in the freezer. Now you have scallions. They don't freeze all as one bunch. And the trick is take it out, use it, put it back, because I found out the hard way that what can happen is you take it out and you're cooking and then you, wait, and then you shake it out, then you put it back. Now it's a clump. So you've got to just be quick about it. But I keep refilling that. And I always have scallions for my salad because by the time it gets on the table, they're thawed out. I can shake it in all kinds of things. So it's a really easy way to have scallions on hand all the time. Okay, now it's time to add the zoodles.
Did you add any of the warm vinegar, reduced vinegar, the bottle, and or thin it down?
Oh, but that's going to be vinegar then. I would add water.
I'm gonna try to do this again.
Okay, perfect.
I'll just do it over here.
We want the vinegar kind of out of it. Most people.
I'm talking about the one that you've already cooked down though. That's hot.
Oh,
That hasn't cooked down enough.
it has. It's good. If it hasn't cooked down enough, you can put it back on. It's not that thick. I overdid that.
She's
one.
wondering if I could.
Oh,
add
that's
some
so
in
nice.
to warm.
It's
It might be hard to get in here though.
Yeah, I have. Well, and that's another tip. I usually do a funnel to put it in the squeeze bottle when it's warm, not hot, warm, because when it gets this thick, there's no way I'm going to be able to put that in there. So Very good point there.
20 minutes, not 25, 20.
Okay. Okay, we're pretty much done there with the broccoli. Let me show you the broccoli, yay. See how I hit all of them with dark brown? You could do that. Usually it's 1 or 2 pieces and everybody goes for those pieces right away. So roasted broccoli rarely ever makes it out of the pan in my house. Okay? And you can reheat it, guys. You can make it and reheat it for the next 2-3 days. Just heat it up. Okay, I got it.
Do you want on here? Because I just took this off the.
Okay.
It won't come out through this glasses.
Yes, just probably another tablespoon and then we'll mix it. Okay, we're gonna stir this and then add our seasoning. We're gonna add our scallions. We're about done. And I want to show you real quickly how to do chiffonade with your basil. I stacked leaves inside one another, biggest one on the outside, then roll it like you're rolling your own cigars. I've never done it, that's what I'm told. And then you just want to sliver this for ribbons. This is called chiffonade. It's evidently the French word for ribbons. So we're going to add that. And then I've got a little seasoning, just table seasoning, nothing too strong to finish it off. And that, I'm going to take it off the heat because it's going to continue to cook. And the biggest mistake with zoodles is overcooking. You get soggy, overcooked. So we want it just enough. So there we go. See how quick that was? Now, for zoodles, you don't have to do, like, if you want to do half white pasta and half zoodles, that's fine, okay? You'll have to cook this separate and then do a pan with the pasta. But if you're not ready to do pasta all zoodles, do that, okay? You get veggies, okay? This is an elegant flavoring, okay? Basil, to store basil, you have a couple choices, okay? You can put it in here. You just got to make sure the water, you don't get the leaves because those are going to go soggy, okay? The stem is, you want the stems down there. Or you can just take and open it up and put a damp paper towel, make sure you get the stem and wrap it around and put it back. That will store a couple more days longer. So basil does not like cold. Do not put it in the back. I call basil high maintenance herb. So do not put it in the back. Okay, last recipe. So thank you for hanging in with me. If you can think about what you want for your action step and shout it out, send it in the chat if you know what you want. There were a couple more that are on the action step. I think on the action step, one thing I said was your prep area, mise en place. Mise en place, again, I don't speak foreign languages. I'm like the worst at words that are different. So, but it means everything has its place. And so in a culinary kind of chef sense, they're taught to have everything its place because you go faster, you cut evener, and you have to work with others. So it's efficient. So you put your raw ingredients that you're prepping over here. A lot of times your seasonings and measuring up here, and you take your raw and you come here, you do your chopping, put your discard here, and then your finished prepped ingredients go here. If you were a chef, raw, prep, it goes off to the next station. So this is called mise en place, having a place. And if you want to go quickly for a recipe, you set out all your ingredients, set the measuring spoons next to them, and go. That's the easiest way. Otherwise, I'm looking like 10 times. What was that? Okay, let me go back. Okay, just get out all the ingredients, put the measuring. When I have to go, that's the way I do it. So, and you can stack everything that's 1 teaspoon, put it behind each other, you know, stuff like that. So, okay.
Show this.
Perfect. Yes.
Well,
this is delicious.
So when somebody gets a big bite of that stuff, sorry.
It's got to be sweet. So that's how it looks finished. So
That's why
I was really trying.
Okay, so hot water, let's set overnight and then shake it, guys. So, or put it in like boiling water, like you suggested. That was brilliant.
Did
So,
you store that long term in the fridge?
no,
No.
no, it's vinegar. Okay, no. So it can just set out. I set it out next to the stove. So I'm seeing it. I'm remembering. Oh, I've got that. So, okay, peanut. So we are going to, you microwave this for 1 minute.
Yes.
Okay.
I forwarded you an article about vinegar.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we got broccoli, slaw there, and we'll have chicken for us here just to try if you want to add to it, but I want you to try without, like we did last week with the naked burrito bowl. So, okay, so this is super, super quick and easy. Let's see, do I have any? I do have a bowl here. Okay, so we are going to, it's just, I'm doing a couple like 3 times the recipe. So let me double check. Let me make sure my notes here is 6 cups. Ooh, let me make sure. Let me actually measure that. I think I might have more than 6 cups. I said 2 bags, but I think we're gonna do. Okay, yes. That's way over. I'm like, this feels like more than I need. So there we go. That's 6 cups. So there we go. Okay. So broccoli slaw is the base of it. And then it's really simple from there. We're just gonna add this dressing. So grab my ingredients really here. So here's the dressing I like to use. I get this from Walmart, Newman's Own sesame ginger. Yes, it has sugar, but it's got a lot of good flavor to go with a cruciferous, a stronger veggie here. So I find it's really a great match. It is hard with dressings. You either go down with the sugar and up with the sodium and up with the fat, or so you got to not use it intentionally. I say, just don't overdo it. So, okay, we have edamame here. This is a immature soybean. It's milder in flavor than other beans. It's green, it has fiber and protein. So we're gonna add that in there as our protein. And I'm gonna put the sauce on it there and stir that in just there. I'm making 3 times the recipe. So now sometimes if I am going out at night and there's a good chance it's not going to be the most nourishing food, I will eat a small bowl of broccoli slaw with this dressing. I may not have a chance to throw edamame on it, but the idea is I want to first of all fill myself up with something that is going to keep me going. And secondly, I know I've gotten vegetables. So I know I don't have to worry about if I don't get, because when you eat out, it's really tough getting, half of fruits and veggies. So we're going to top this off with the peanuts. These are unsalted roasted. You may not have realized, but they have unsalted. So we're going to add that. And then I'm going to add some cilantro here. You don't have to. I mean, the bare minimum is the dressing, broccoli slaw, edamame, and the unsalted nuts. So the cilantro is nice to do. And the cilantro, I find the best way to store it is in one of these. You can even get a to-go soup container and save it. But I got the Hy-Vee and Walmart have these, just like 1 to 2 inches of water. And when you get home, rinse the whole bunch so that you can just take what you need. And usually I'll cut off like it's, cut off so that I can fit it in there, the stems. And you just put it in there, and you just need to change the water every couple days. It doesn't have to be every day, but every couple days. It'll stay for 20 days. Now, for doing cilantro, it's nice to have. It's not expensive, 99 cents, usually a bunch. And you can do 2 bunches in here. A lot of times I'll squish it in. Now, cilantro, some people will say, just pick off the flowers. Okay. Who has the time to pick off a half a cup of flowers? Okay. I have seen my daughter do that. I'm like, oh. So I find the best way, you can actually just go. Part of the reason is the stem is a little more bitter, stronger flavor. So people are trying to get the delicate flavor. But if you have a bunch, if you just brush it like it's a doll. You're brushing the hair of the doll. It kind of falls off the flowers a little bit better so that you can, that's the way I'll do it. But I don't have the patience. And they have things that you can pull the herbs through and I just don't have that time. So, okay. So here we go. There you go. So you're going to be able to taste that tonight. So we've got protein. We've got half veggie for sure. We've got herbs on there. We've got plant compounds oozing everywhere. So just imagine. So there we go. Sorry I went over. So, but we're gonna have fun trying this out.